When you think about waste management in the town, what comes to mind?
What comes to mind to me is that I see a community that is conscious about cleanliness, clean environment, keeping the environment clean. That's what comes to mind. Yeah.
Are you satisfied with your waste collector service?
I would say, if you ask me, very much so. I mean, in fact, I'm very impressed.
That's good.
And I would say that I have never been any place in my life, whether here in Canada or abroad, where the waste, excellent. I would say that I would give them A for that.
Oh, good.
I'll give them A for that. Everything that is going very well.
Great.
In my own area, excellent. I have to give them the credit for that.
Do you think that solid waste management should be developed in the town to be more sustainable?
Well, if it works for the town, good. But what is going on now, I'd like it. There's a garbage trash everywhere. You can only drop your there's no reason why anybody should do that. I think if you ask me, the town and the management have done their part and they've done very well. So it's now left for the people to, cooperate with them and put their, trash in a trash can.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very simple.
Would you say that solid waste management is a major issue currently affecting the natural environment of our area?
It depends. Now, if you talk about somebody throwing things, now, like I say, they've done their part, but when you have people throwing trash in what's it called, whatever they call it, that they down there, I think that is really, I see a lot of people just dump things, like when I go for a walk. Why would anybody do that? It is not the management that is doing that, but the people that are doing that. And one thing I would like to do is that they should find a way to get these people cut so that they can take responsibility for what they are doing. And another thing again, I'm so concerned about is our water, that the town should be very cautious about that, because you never know what to go when people throw things like noodles and in a dam there. The other day I saw a picture of it, and I said to myself, whose fault is this? That's the first question I asked myself. Who did this? Is it the waste management people, or is it us? And let's be frank. You can force a horse to the stream. You cannot force the horse to drink from the stream. When people choose to throw things in the dam where people, water where people used to drink and do things, that's not really appropriate. They've done their own part, and you can see it all over the place. The garbage truck, the guy there comes, the trucks come pick things. If you have something dirty, you put it there. I don't throw trash anywhere, I put it in the trash can. And sometimes if I'm driving, I just put it in go to my car, I just have a place, I put it there. So why can't everybody do that? Then the place will be clean. The waste management doesn't have to come around following everybody. You can't do that. So we have to take some responsibility. When you throw trash in the woods and when the rain comes, sometimes, take them back to we have to take some responsibility here. The government can't do everything. There are some things we as citizens, have to take responsibility, keeping our environment clean.
Do you think the town needs to educate the citizens more on waste management?
I think they should. That I will agree on, that they should do that. Just in case, because there are some people who are not getting it, obviously. And I think those people need to hear it loud and clear. Probably a little noise on the radio or something like that probably will work. Okay. Some people have to really hear it really, really loud. Yeah, for them to get it.
Yeah.
Or some they get it.
Yes.
Some you don't even have to tell them, they know the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So when you live in a society like that, then you have to really say it really very loud.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you think about waste management in the town, what comes to mind?
Well, I would say that I think in some ways it's somewhat broken.
Okay.
just as, and when I say that, I mean, not so much from the curb, but once it gets to the dump. I think that they're having some issues with the sorting of the compost, as we saw with what happened with the compost issue at Lake George.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, well, I don't think, I know it had something to do with the specific equipment that they had, which wasn't the proper equipment to actually sort the compost. That would have sorted out the plastics and metals and whatever,
Mm-hmm.
that then allowed those to be mixed in with the compost, which was then dumped over at Lake George. So I think that some money has to be spent to have the proper equipment. If you're going to go into the business of composting, you need to have the right equipment.
Okay.
And I think we didn't, and we tried to, or the town tried to fudge it, let's say,
Okay.
and it didn't quite work. But you know, you can't do something right if you don't have the right tools.
Right. Are you satisfied with your waste collector service?
Yeah, at the curb, I think they do a wonderful job. You know, I can say that I've gotten an orange sticker once, and I understand what the situation was, and there was actually some socks mixed in with some bottles and cans with the blue bag. I don't know how the socks got in there, but anyway.
So that's a good way to educate, though, too.
Yeah, oh
right?
yeah, and
Yes.
so you know, I'm a very, you know, I'm aware of what I put in the bags and whatever. So I think the actual curbside, A1, and kudos to the guys that do the work. I know it's a tough job, and
Sure
they
is,
do
yeah.
a wonderful
Yes.
job.
It is.
But like I said, once it gets to the garbage dump, then I think these guys need to have the right tools to do it,
Right.
to do the job.
Yeah, I do.
Do you think that solid waste management should be developed in the town to be more sustainable?
Absolutely. I think that if you look at other provinces, for example, Ontario, they have a really unbelievable state-of-the-art composting facility,
Mhm.
as well as garbage facility, where they, and you know, could we have something as nice as that? Probably not, because they have a lot more people to sustain the tax base that would produce that. But I think that we really need to look at having the right equipment to do it right, so that way, and have a state-of-the-art, at least with what we have here, facility whereby we're not going to have what happened with this compost issue that happened,
Right.
with the metals and the plastics mixed in
Mhm.
with compost.
Okay.
I mean, we know we can do it because they do a wonderful job with making the mulch.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a matter of spending a little bit more money to do it right than to try to do things on the cheap kind of thing.
Right.
So, the other thing I'd like to talk about with the dump or waste management is and I know this is a source of revenue for the town, but where I come from, when you take stuff to the dump, as long as you're a resident and you can prove that you're a resident, they don't charge you.
Mhm.
Now, if you're a commercial and let's say you're a roofer or a contractor, then you obviously have to pay to dump. But just for the average resident having to pay to dump, I find that pretty counterintuitive, because what you find is that I think it makes, you know, you have all this illegal dumping you find in the woods. Well, I think you're more apt to have people dumping in the woods, you know, tires or garbage or whatever, because they don't have the money to take it to the dump, and they know it's going to be weighed, and they're going to have to pay to dump it. So I think
And that's
we
where
need to
education
rethink that,
comes in.
and maybe charge a little more to the commercials, but allow the residents no charge. Now I know that we do have no charge. I think it's 220 kilos or something per week or whatever it is. But I think, you know, if you're keeping your area clean and you're throwing garbage away, it actually saves the town money, because I know that the garbage guy, I talk to him all the time, and he's always having to go all over the place and pick up, you know, these illegal dump sites and clean them up. That's costing a ton of money for the town. Whereas rather than paying to clean up all these illegal dump sites where people are just dumping in the woods, that money, it just make it so the people don't have to pay to dump. And again, the taxpayers,
Right.
and not the commercial, because that's a whole different thing. But I think we're looking at things differently, and we're actually penalizing people who want to dump legally and, you know, at the dump.
Right.
And so you're just finding more of these illegal dumps, and I think we had a ton of them, like last summer. There was
Right.
always on Facebook, there'd be another picture of a big pile of stuff that someone dumped in the woods, and
Yeah.
because they didn't want to have to pay to dump it.
Okay, would you say that solid waste management is a major issue currently affecting the natural environment of our area?
Absolutely. And I think that's the exact reason.
Yeah.
Is because
I think-
you're having a lot of illegal dump sites because
Mhm.
people don't want to have to pay to dump legally because it's so expensive.
Yeah.